Yeah, yo, hey guys, hey, what's up? Welcome to Coast Connects with me and Mike G, and we got Amy Lee here out of New York, Manhattan area. Hey, I wanted to give a couple shout outs real quick. One, the Metro Diner in Tampa. If you're down in the South Tampa area, go ahead and hit Metro Diner. And also, definitely, me and Mike both go get cool cuts, so we'll post where we get our haircuts at. So anybody in the Tampa area that needs that quick cut, me and Mike will let you know how to stay fresh. Amy Lee, what's up, girl? How's it going?
Hi, good morning. It is going great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're hanging in there. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm all right. So I went out last night, so I'm still waking up a little bit. I'm gonna be all right.
Oh yeah, the Christmas parties. Amy Lee, I got a major question though, because I'm confused about something. Okay. Now you live in New York and your name's Amy Lee. That is so country. So come on, help us out here.
Well, actually, Lee is my middle name, so I have gone by Amy my whole life. But my mom is in Virginia, so I grew up in Virginia. But when you have a shorter name, instead of giving you a nickname, people elongate your name. So people will call me Amy Miller, Amy Lee Miller. And when I decided to publish my first book, I decided I'm just going to go by Amy Lee Miller. So yeah, you can call me Amy or Amy Lee, but yes, it does sound pretty Southern.
It does. Yeah. Hey, so you've been helping people that are transitioning out of one workforce to another, and dealing with the different limp facts that they run into, the challenges and the stresses. So theoretically, could you just give the audience an idea of what you do and how you help people reshape their lives real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. A big piece of what I do is helping people to get clarity, get very clear on what it is they want. The path getting to where we want is much faster when we know what that is. It sounds very simple, but I think one thing that a lot of us have a difficult time to doing today is getting present, just with all of the stresses, the distractions, the frustrations. And when we take a moment to get present, what happens is we can really, getting present, I mean, kind of let go of the surrounding distractions, well, then we can really hear ourselves and uncover what it is we really want. A lot of times we have a voice in the back of our mind speaking to us, but we try to push it aside and keep moving forward with what we're focused on. So a lot of times we don't know exactly what we want. So that's one thing I do, is help my clients get clarity on what it is they really want. I also work with entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. And when you're trying to start a new venture, whether it's transitioning your career or starting a business, it can be very overwhelming. So I help my clients to align some specific action steps so they can start gaining traction toward their goals. And then a lot of what I do is mindset too. Even, the most successful people can still have fear when trying something new.
Oh yeah. So, I was going to ask you this one. So were you a person that was working a 9 to 5 and just one day you were just like, man, this is not for me, this grind, Mike over here always, I hear the violin all the time. I mean, the 9 to 5 is just killing me, man. So were you one of those people that were like in that 9 to 5 and then said, you know what, I'm starting to see that I need to, do some transition myself. And then you did it yourself and then it led you to where you're at?
I guess kind of, yes. I've never really worked a traditional 9 to 5 because when I finally I waited tables for a long time. And then it took me a long time to get my career started after college, about 4 years before I could finally get, something different out of the restaurant industry. But I got into sales, which is always kind of, outside sales is always kind of different than a 9 to 5. You're working regular business hours, but often more, and you have that freedom because you're to structure your own day. You're out and about. I have never done well in a 9 to 5 office environment. I like structure, but I'm the kind of person that needs to make my own structure. I get anxiety. I even break copiers. I mess up things in an office. So I listen to that from a young age. This is not, the place for me. But also, yes, to answer your question, because each step in my career was following my drive for greater freedom. So I've kept getting increasingly free. So yeah, I'll transition to a career and it's good for a while, but then there's still that, no, I need to be more free. I need to help in a bigger capacity. So I keep listening to that so that helps me keep evolving in the right direction for me, if that kind of
No, because you preaching the mic right there, because that's Mike. I hear that story all the time from Mike.
I love it. I love it, Amy. Keep it coming.
Yeah.
Keep it coming, please. Thank you. I've met somebody that understands me.
Absolutely.
And you talked about retail, and I'll honestly tell you, in sales, those are probably the two hardest jobs I've ever had. Working at the mall, I had the mall gig, and then waiting tables, done that one. But you know what? It also helped me with the transition of being able to communicate with people. Mm-hmm. So I like the way the fact that we looked at your YouTube and how you're on your platform, you're exercising different variants for people to listen to. So what made you get into, trying to use social media as your amplifier to, really get your message out there? Because I like it. You got Instagram, you got it going on. So, how did it help you shape what you're doing now?
Great question. For a very long time now, I've wanted to be a motivational speaker. I think I've been an unofficial motivational speaker my whole life, always the one, motivating my friends, coming to me saying with problems, or I want to do this, but not believing in themselves. So I've always believed that I could achieve whatever I set my mind to. I've been like that since I was very little. So I naturally have the same belief in others, and I get really passionate about inspiring and encouraging that belief in others too. And so I did have that thought in the back of my mind for a long time, probably about 10 years now, that I want to be a motivational speaker. And I knew it wasn't quite the right time, but every once in a while that voice would come back and get a little bit louder. And then about 3 years ago, I said, okay, it's time. Now's the time. And then I said, well, who is going to ask me to speak, and on what? I haven't done it before. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to start. So I set a goal to launch my YouTube channel, and decided to I just started making motivational videos, speaking on topics that and concepts that have helped me to evolve and become more empowered over the years, that I thought might help others. So that's how I got my start with the social media. And then it's so easy these days to just post, on multiple platforms, different people, to reach different people, whichever platform works best for them.
Oh yeah. So when you're shaping the world around you and you're looking at the transition. So let me ask this question. When you're dealing with, and I know probably 1,000 people ask this question, but I'll ask it anyway. So during COVID, was it I sadly, for the lost life in New York, because at the time I was in the military and we were sending military soldiers up there. They help with the hospitals, help with a bunch of different things. So I was very aware of what was happening in New York. But also, it was time for me. I realized it was time for me to transition out of the military. And then when I found out during COVID, for me, it gave me time to recharge myself, re-amplify what I wanted to do. And so my question to you is, during COVID, did it give you an opportunity to actually, because the world kind of slowed down and stopped, for you to really channel what you wanted to do during that time?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a very social person, but I also like a lot of alone time. And I also always have different projects that I'm working on. And it's very important to me to consistently work on my projects. So there was an odd feeling, kind of a weird feeling at the beginning of COVID, because I was used to, going out and seeing friends, meeting for dinner a couple times a week. And so there was a little discomfort, but then I very quickly embraced it. And I said, okay, cool. I'm not missing out on anything if I stay home and work on my stuff. And I was also transitioning I was recruiting full-time at the start of COVID, and decided to transition from my 1099 role to start my own company. And so that downtime gave me the time to get that together. And then I also started to write my first book during COVID. And I also wrote some movie scripts. My imagination is always going. So when I'm focused on something that I'm passionate about, I can really stick with it for many, many hours. So COVID was, for me, I don't want to say it was good for me, but I made a lot of progress. I took advantage of the opportunity to spend some time by myself and focus on some goals that were important to me.
I mean, we all got to rechannel our energies, and movie scripts. I hope you wrote the guild and paid that $25 or whatever it is to make sure that you lock down the script that you're writing for the movie.
I did. Yeah.
That's right. Make sure you own that property, because as soon as somebody gets their hand on it by accident, then they can use what you've done. So smart move, smart move.
Well, thank you for the confidence in me. They still have a lot of work, but yeah, we'll dig those back out when I'm ready, one project at a time. But yeah, I love stories. Very passionate about stories. I think movies are a great way to inspire. So that is definitely in the future. Hopefully.
All right. So, hey, Mike, do me a favor if you can pull up her book real quick. So, you used the word mustard, and I laughed because when I read that, I go, wow, that is so old school. A lot of people, so I grew up, I'm a 57-year-old guy, and mustard was always about how strong or somebody's capabilities were. And we used to say back in the day, you need to, test your mustard, son. And it was so funny because it was an old military term back from like World War II that a man had to have muster. And when I read that, I was like, that is so surreal. And so how did you get the term mustard? Because a lot of people don't realize that it's like a forgotten term used about talking about you as an internal person being strong.
I loved how you are reading Mustard. I can't take credit for thinking of it in that regard. I'm not too far behind you years-wise, and I've definitely heard that term. But there's actually a personal inside story about mustard in the book. And because there was an experience that happened, and I was very upset. And I said, where's my expletive mustard? And so there's a story about that in the book.
All right, we definitely make sure we read that part. And I'll highlight it and get back to you on that one.
Yeah, well, it's kind of broken up into two parts, so you got to read the initial story that happened, and then yeah.
All right, so if anybody wants,
keeping you in suspense.
So if anybody wants to get the book, you got to go on Amazon, right?
Yes, I did self-publish, and it's on Amazon. Mm-hmm.
All right. How long did it take you to write it?
Oh my goodness, I am an achiever. So this is my second book. So I had started writing a book a few different times, but I quickly learned. So this is one thing. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I am not good at designing certain processes. If somebody else has a process that's going to help me get where I want to go faster, then teach me. So I quickly learned that I needed a process. So once I did, though, I hammered out my first book from start to finish in 90 days. And that was the goal, self-published in 90 days. And then the second one, Where's My Mustard? I had another goal to publish it in 90 days, but I did get kind of busy and relax a little bit. So 120 days.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've been working on the book for like 2 years.
And
it's just time. It's either me fencing the world away from myself, and I was in Europe working on it a little bit when I took a trip to Europe recently. But yeah, there's just all these different challenges. I think Mike just threw up your other. Is this another book, right?
Yeah, this is my first book, Ready, Set, Recruit. Yeah.
See, I got them confused because I thought Mustard was the first one. All right, so all right, easy. All right, my bad.
That's okay.
So when you're helping people, what's your age bracket you normally help with, and what are you actually trying to get after to help people kind of rechannel themselves?
Yeah, great question. So you kind of figure it out as you go, but I was right with my initial thought of what my age bracket would be. So my clients tend to be between 40 and 60, and they're at a place where they are kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired, or they've had this idea in the back of their mind that they want this other career that they want to pursue, or a goal. Some of my clients just have a really big goal that they haven't started on. So I help them, figure out, okay, this is what you want. So I take them through a series of exercises. I've got the core concepts of my coaching program, but then I also customize it to what's going to work for that individual. And then any other knowledge that I have that I can help them to incorporate to help them reach their goals faster. So I'm helping them uncover, if we're not making traction towards something that we want, there's a reason. So, the answers that we're looking for, the problem and the solution, they're always within us. So I help them to dig deep and look within to identify what they want, uncover whatever core challenge might be holding them back, reframe their mindset around that, and then give them some specific steps where they can take action. And a lot of it is scheduling time, like you were talking about your book. You know, when we have a big goal, or maybe it's starting a new business or transitioning a career, we can get caught up in the steps 8, 9, and 10. Well, how am I going to get there? First, we get excited and then we get scared. And a lot of people who don't make progress toward their goals choose to focus on the fear. So a lot of what I teach is fear versus intuition, and how to distinguish between the two, and then how to shift your mindset so that you change your habit to instead focusing on the excitement, you know, your intuition, which is trying to guide you. Did I answer your question?
Oh yeah, yeah, no, that was perfect. Yeah, I mean, you're always talking about people trying to dig themselves out of holes. And, you know, so traumatically, with the way the economy is right now, you're probably going to have a lot more clients, because the way I saw an article the other day on the business, NBC Business or something, and it stated that right now in the age bracket of like 40 years old to like 55 for men, there's a huge struggle of being unhappy at work. Mm-hmm. And they are struggling trying to transition out of a 9-to-5 job to something that's more meaningful. So I think, and they said a lot of it had to do with COVID. Some of it actually has to do with just social media having an impact of seeing this constant loop of people saying, look, I don't work 9 to 5, you know, I'm making X amount of money. Those subliminal messages are starting to, enter our society. So you're going to start probably, you know, you're probably already. So what are some of the like major things that you've dealt with that when you've talked to some of the clients that, you know, when they've transitioned out, you don't have to give me names or anything, but I'm just saying it's like some of the things that you see as a pattern for most of the people you're helping now.
I think a lot of people, and I'll say especially men, and this is not, bad against men. It's just that, you know, men are often busy trying to be strong for their families and maybe their leaders in their role. And so they don't want to complain or focus on the problem. You know, maybe there's something more that they want for themselves, or something that's been bothering them. And the same is true probably for all of us. When I transitioned from my own business, from recruiting under a company to starting my own business, by the time I stopped to pay attention to notice that something was bothering me, the frustration got bigger and bigger and bigger. So when I stopped and looked back, I realized I've been unhappy for 5 years. But what happens is we just stay so focused on what we're doing. We don't pay attention to our emotions. So that's another thing that I work with my male clients on a lot, is identifying your emotions, because emotions are there to guide us. If you're super frustrated with something at work, this is actually what led me to write and publish the first book, Ready, Set, Recruit, because I was getting increasingly frustrated with the unnecessary inefficiencies I was noticing in the hiring process that were making my clients, the hiring managers' lives more difficult.
Right.
And so you want to focus on the frustration, because that's going to guide you in the right direction. Maybe it's a new process, a better way to do something. Maybe it's a new career. Maybe it's a new company, or just something that you need to you shift in your life that's going to help you become happier. So I help my clients focus on the problem. And even if we don't know what the end goal is going to look like, we have an idea of how we want to feel once we get there. So I ask a lot of questions to help them dig deeper, to uncover, you know, how they want to feel, what they think they want, and then start moving in that direction. And I think a lot of people have fear around pursuing what they really want. Well, one, will I have enough money if I pursue this other venture? Two, is it going to work? You know, what if I fail? But you don't have to, I like to say, jump off a cliff. You don't have to quit what you're doing today and jump into something different tomorrow, especially when you have a family to support and you have responsibilities. But you can start scheduling time. You can acknowledge what you want. You can write it down. You can start working toward it and schedule time each day to work toward it. And once you get moving, that next step is going to show up. So whenever we can get stuck when we're so worried about steps 8, 9, and 10, well, how am I going to get there? How am I going to do this once I get there? Well, you're never going to get there without taking the first step. And when we're focused so far ahead, then we don't see the first step. So I help them to kind of unclutter a little bit, get clarity on, this is really what I want. Okay. And then here's the first step. And then training your mind to believe that you can achieve.
Oh yeah. You know, so many people can focus on all the negatives of why not to do something. So I mean, I'll transition on to my dad. He was a drummer. He was this awesome drummer, young 19-year-old. Just after he came back from Vietnam, he played in the Air Force band. Immaculate musician, but he couldn't read sheet music. And so as he went up, they kind of told him that, hey man, you're gonna have to transition to something else because you don't know how to read sheet music, or you didn't go to college for music, whatever it was. But he was devastated. And the sad thing about it was, I saw this man as a child. We have drum sets at the house. He never touched them. And I would ask him, is that it made me realize when I listen to you right now, is that if he had just decided, you know what, I don't care what they say, I can still play music. I just don't have to play for the Air Force. But he didn't, he internalized that feedback from that NCO, his boss, so internally, he literally was a miserable person for like years. I mean, just years, because he just couldn't get out of that rat race of those words. And I know feedback, and I know you're dealing with that when you're talking to your clients. They're getting this feedback, they're getting these things back from people, and they're internalizing it. So how do you bring them out and stop internalizing other people's feedback and say, okay, let me take the nuggets that are good. Let me take the nuggets that I don't agree with. Okay, I'm not going to agree. I'm going to take them. And then you can compartmentalize that so they can, excel at the next level.
Yeah, that is a great question. And thanks for sharing your story about your dad. That's, I get that. Well, at any time that you have a bigger goal that you're working toward, and myself included, you will encounter people who are going to tell you that you can't. And what I have learned, and these people might really care about you. Some of my closest friends, I'll get excited and share an idea, and they'll immediately start with that. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, if you don't find an editor to publish your book, nobody's going to read it. And so I learned a long time ago to stop listening, to what other people say. But one trick with that, if that's a little challenging at first to kind of compartmentalize what other people say and choose to believe in yourself, is to realize that people are not, when somebody tells you you can't, they are not talking about you. They're never talking about you. Nobody is capable of knowing. Nobody can know what you are capable of doing, is what I'm trying to say. So people see the world and themselves as they are, not as you are. And I didn't make that up. I took that from, I think, the book, The 4 Agreements.
Right, but that's a true statement.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's, same for me too. That's why I believe in everybody, because that they can achieve whatever they set their mind to, because I know that I can. So, of course you can. Good and bad in that. And that would be another topic. But it's very comforting to it takes some of the pain away, because it can hurt when somebody says, they don't believe in you, or when somebody's mean to you or whatever, but they're always projecting how they're feeling about themselves, so I now have compassion when somebody tries to discourage me, and maybe they don't even know that they're doing it, but I will just send them some quiet compassion. I don't need to say anything. I just like change the subject. I'll say, okay, how, whatever. And then I'll change the subject. I'm not going to,
exactly. We're going to
sidestep. And when somebody asks me, how are you going to accomplish this? I don't answer them. I've made it a habit to stop answering that question.
Why?
Because they don't need to know how, because I don't need to know how, because we can't know how. We don't know what's going to happen
Thank you.
on our path. We're going to meet so-and-so, or we're going to get frustrated in this direction, and then we're going to get bumped in that direction. And we can't know, what's in store for us.
No, I love what you just said, because, all right, so I could get in this all day. So me and Mike started this podcast, first, here are the magic words. How much money are you going to make? Why are you doing it? What's your audience? I mean, we got this laundry list from like all our friends, like it's going to not be successful. So we started our podcast with probably about 5 other people. They started theirs. We started ours, right? Mm-hmm. The other couple of days ago, me and Mike decided, let's do some research to see how everybody's doing. Well, everybody's pretty much gone. Mike, and I told Mike, I said, yeah. And I told him, I said, but here's the deal. I told someone this, and I'm retired from the military, so I have a pretty decent pension. I'm able to sit back and let it take me where it goes. Mm-hmm. I'm not in a situation where I have to say it has to go this direction. So with that, me and Mike have been, talk over this last year or so, because we've been at this, a year, Mike? Yeah. So we literally decided, you know what? We're just going to take it one day at a time, one guest at a time, and we're just going to go. But the one thing we're going to do is we're going to have freaking fun. and we're gonna put the energy in it and just promote it and do what we got to do. And so ironically, we've got great people like you come on the show. We got American Idol star, Grammy star, and we're looking at each other. Yeah, we look at each other and go, how the hell can we pull this off? So
I'll tell you exactly how. You guys led with the excitement. You led with the emotion of excitement, not the what if it doesn't work out. That's human nature. Of course, that fear creeps in, but I call it, my concept that I like to teach is observe and choose. Observe the fear, observe the what if, but then choose, I'm going to focus over here. And as long as we're following what we're curious about, what excites us, it is going to work out. Yes, you are going to, make money. You probably are already, but you know what I mean? Like you go in that direction and it's going to work out.
Oh, but I told Mike a long time ago, I never fear failure because of where I come from and where I ended up and where I'm still trying to go in life. And that like I tell someone, if you've already been down at the bottom, man, you've already seen what the rough times are. There's very little that can scare you if you've already, have run through some rough times. And that's what me and Mike are always talking about. And the thing is that when I was looking through your website and I was reading some of your things and quotes and different things you have on your website, everything you're talking about is just the internal human fight that a person has to clear the clutter inside themselves and block out the noise from the outside to become really, really great. So my big question to you is so what advice, if you had to give anybody right now, any advice from everything you've done, how should someone really pursue their inner best self?
To pursue your inner best self, first, you're looking in the right place if you're looking within. The answers we're looking for will always be within. And anytime we are looking outside of ourselves for the answers, they will always be just out of reach. And that's how you can really empower yourself. And the best kind of empowerment is self-empowerment. And so here's the thing. When you learn to give yourself what you need, then you don't need it from any external force. And so then you're always going to believe in yourself. You're always going to be resourceful and be able to find that next step. But first we want to look within. And so if there is, so many things, but one thing I like to do is ask myself, if something's bugging me, what's bugging me? Really, a lot of times we reach for instant gratification. We want to feel better. Well, let me call my friend to complain and she'll listen to me then. It makes me feel better. Let me, have a drink or distract myself or go out with some friends. But what happens when you just decide to sit with the discomfort and focus on what is really bothering you and then peel back the layers, keep asking yourself a series of why questions. Well, why is this bothering me? Then that's how you get to the core issue. And the reason it's so important is to uncover the problem, what it is that's holding you back or what's bothering you, is because then you can give yourself what you need. If an apple is the solution to your problem, but you don't know that you need an apple, you can't give that to yourself.
That's true.
So, once you uncover the challenge, then you can, or the core issue, you can give yourself what you need. And when you do that, you are truly empowered because you don't need it from anybody else. And then you become unstoppable. You're going to achieve whatever you set your mind to.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely. Yeah, because so often in today's society, we allow people to tear us down and to put bricks on our back and put us in the water and bring us down one more time. And I tell this to my daughters all the time. And I have one that plays college soccer, and she had some ups and downs this season. And I told her, I said, at the end of the day, you got to believe in one thing. No matter what the coach says, what I say, or any of the players say, do you believe in yourself? And if you believe in yourself, there is nothing you can't accomplish. I said, I'm just telling you, there's nothing you can't accomplish. You just maybe have to clean up some things, but you got to believe in the person in the mirror first. And so before I get out of here, Mike, I know you had a rough night, my brother, but can you help me out? You got anything for us?
Oh, I'm up. Wow, this is great information. Like I said before, somebody understands me. That 9 to 5 is hard. When you're a creative person and you're stuck in the 9 to 5, nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. You got to make your money. But when you're a creative person, you're different, and you know that what I hold is I can make it here. While instead of staying here. But it's a hard development. It's a hard transitional phase, and we have people like you, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Just real quick though, what motivates you to motivate other people?
What motivates me to motivate other people? My belief in myself. I know that I can achieve whatever I set my mind to. And so that is how I see other people, which again, there can be some bad in that as well. There's always some good in our bad qualities, and sometimes our good qualities can hold us back a little bit. But I did find a way through coaching to channel that, funnel that energy to out to people who want my help. It can be kind of exhausting when you encourage, and not everybody's ready to take action. But I know that people are capable of whatever they set their mind to. And I get really passionate and excited whenever somebody says, you know what, I really want to be doing this. So that fires me up. There's a lot of things I'm passionate about, but that's probably the most. And just one little piece of advice, if it's okay. So for those creative people out there who are currently working your 9 to 5, or anybody who's not super happy in a 9 to 5, one way to get happier is to identify what drives you and work toward that a little bit each day. And then even if it's just an hour or 2 hours, you're going to feel so much better, and you're going to be more focused and happier and less distracted, and get your 9 to 5 done faster. And then you're going to have more time to work on what actually drives you.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I get on Mike all the time. So I always talk about Mike's great qualities. He'll go, no, man, you always picked it on me. Nah, I'm here to. Resiliency is part of the process, Mike. I always tell you that, Mike G. Hey, Amy, it's been a blast having you on, and the time flew by, which really sucks because we can unpack so much here. So as we always say, thank you for coming on the show and being blessed. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Kwanzaa, whatever is out there that you have, how you celebrate. Have a great time. And as me and Mike G always say, keep it rolling.